The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
Hey, happy Thursday, friend. You better live, and welcome to another show right here on Be Exposed Radio with the goddess, the Empress, ChasReal, Lady Cake Mix. I have an awesome show for you tonight, but I do have to mention that an hour in the show, it may be interrupted. I got the heads up, and I got to give y'all the heads up for the president's speech. So make sure y'all tune into that, and then next time, hopefully on the show, we can talk about it, because y'all know how I do it. Our news, our views. Your news, our views. Tonight I have with me Baba Imhotep, who's going to tell you all about a wonderful initiative that I think is going on. But before that, you know how I do. And starting it off, gotta bless the show. Bless all of you guys who are joining me. Bless all of the people who are unable to join. There's so much going on in the world and right here in our city. I just want to encourage you to keep on moving, keep on reigning. Good people, do what you can where you are with what you have. The time is now. There's so many movements going on, but definitely we have to move. And that's why I feel a pleasure and a privilege to have who I have on here tonight, because I definitely know that he enhances that and embraces that initiative. And I wanted to bring that to y'all. With so much negativity going on, I'm going to use this platform as an enlightening one, because I told you we're going to know and we're going to grow right here together. The topic of the show is love thyself or else. So we're going to get some knowledge on that. But again, let me give the blessings. Oh, Father God, I thank you for this day and many days that came before this. Oh, Father God, reach everyone who is listening right now, everyone who is viewing, all the people who could not, oh, Father God. For you know all and you see all. That is the greatest joy, to know that nothing happens miraculously and that you have your hand on all things. So just continue to bless us, oh, Father God. Continue to help us, oh, Father God, because we all fall short. It's so much stuff going on. For at the times, I don't even know half of the time what to pray for, but my spirit forever will cry out. Bless all of you and amen. So I just wanted to get some stuff off just real quick, right? Because it was just real funny to me. Y'all know it's a production right here being filmed here in Baltimore, Lady by the Lake. Some news came out this week in which the crew was indicating that they were harassed. Basically, harassed, and basically they were saying that they were trying to extort them, right? Were saying that if they didn't give them money, they wanted them to leave. So recently it's coming back out in the news that those statements are recanted. The first initial comments were made, the crew says, based on the information they have. But now it's coming out that there was an issue from a business owner down in that area who felt some type of way about not getting compensated, that the crew and the production was basically cutting into his business, into his stuff for the day. He was arrested on some drug charges, what they say is not connected to what his complaint is, but it's very funny that after the brother complained that this would be his fate. However, I think the brother name is Chris Brown or something else like that has the business down there. But really, I just wanted to bring it up and give you guys something to talk about. We can't talk about it a lot today because, again, I want my guests to be able to spew all this positivity and everything on you for the time that we have. However, I just was blown away. That's not the first time, something has happened here in the city. It made me to think about the time when the brother, murdered his wife and put it on some panhandlers, unfortunately, because of the plague that's on our city for crime and violence is like possible that people can say anything, kind of, losing us as the scapegoats. So it just was a real controversial thing. I said, wow, like Lady on the Lake, it was a mystery. It was whatever. It's a movie that was written by one of our own that was here. I believe she was doing some writing on Baltimore Sun and then later became an author. So she's they're shooting her movie here. So that's all what happened. They said that people threatened them. They wanted some money, but it's coming out that they lied. That wasn't even the case. That wasn't even the case, y'all. So like, share, and comment up in here. Let me know if y'all want to talk more about it on our next show. If you haven't already liked my page, be sure to do so. I had some live viewers. Y'all been coming through for me, showing mad love, but I gotta get these views up. Y'all gotta come on and talk to me, come through, because I would love to talk to you. But without further ado, my guest tonight, Baba Imhotep. How you feeling, good brother? I think you muted still.
Yeah. Yes, I was. Excellent and excited.
All right. Excellent and excited. Well, I'm excited to have you with your schedule. I know you family. We family. But just knowing this good brother, knowing his schedule, yes, it definitely is an honor to have him on the show tonight, that he would even consider and take the time out. I wanted to bring him on because just like I said, he is a person that I inspire. I love his spirit, his energy. I love just his thought progress and his just, his initiative to make us better people. And y'all don't even know, we are honored and privileged to have a good brother with us right here in Baltimore City. This weekend that just passed on 8/27 initiative that he is head of, the Race First movement was held here. And I was shocked and I was amazed, Baba Imhotep, that it was over in Tanzania as well. I seen the brothers over there celebrating with that vet rally, and it just blew me away. It was something that was definitely empowering for me. It was powerful to see. I definitely wanted to come through, but my stomach and everything wasn't letting me be great. But tell us about it. What is Race First? No, first introduce yourself, because I know that I can say a whole bunch, but no better person than yourself. Who are you, Baba Imhotep? And welcome again.
Welcome. Great. It's an honor to be on this show, to be on this platform with you. And it's always an honor just to be able to have these type of outlets. So I'm excited and I'm honored to be here. For those who don't know, I am Baba Imhotep Fatu. I'm the founder of PLM, Pan-African Liberation Movement, the co-founder of the Urban Youth Initiative Project, which is a youth organization, and the founder of the Race First Movement. And many other things, but I'll stop there. And as we talk, the other things that I'm affiliated with, or initiated, those things will be mentioned.
Yes, certainly. So I mentioned this weekend y'all had the Race First rally. I know that wasn't the first one, but I know many of them are supposed to follow. So can you begin by just telling us exactly, like you said, you wear so many hats. You wear so many hats, good brother. Definitely salute to you. Sending you light and love always to continue and keep reigning in what you're doing. But this first rally, this Race First, movement, what is that exactly?
Okay, now that's an excellent question. So the Race First movement is an initiative to facilitate organization amongst Black people. We are not organized. And because we are not organized, we are suffering on many levels. And I'll give a basic example. In most of the neighborhoods we live in, you can find on any given day a person that lives in the neighborhood and doesn't know the person that lives across the street, is not concerned with that person's child, don't know one another, and do not even speak to one another. That's problematic. So that's an indication of the lack of organization we have as a people. Our sense of nationhood have been eroded. So with the Race First movement, I'm seeking to restore a sense of oneness, to facilitate a type of organization amongst our people. So our motto is, let's get organized. Let's get organized. So we want to bring more organization, and one of the ways we feel you can do that, if we can get people to begin to recognize and embrace, the fact that we are the same people. We are Black people in America.
Yeah.
If we can get us just to identify with that and embrace that, we can begin to facilitate a type of organization that will maximize all of our output.
Yes, I agree. And what, is so much detrimental things happening here in Baltimore City. So this movement, this initiative is definitely well needed. But even though, your push is for those greater things, can you speak on your belief or your knowledge of why is it like this? Why is this a culture? Based on even that example that you gave, that now us as a people are so disconnected and not organized as we need to be, especially with so much stuff going on. And I say that when I think about, just all the violence going on in the city. If it's not somebody that I know personally being affected by it, of course, I've been affected by it, you've been affected by it, on top of us losing elders and matriarchs of our families, and those people that centered some of those very principles and everything else like that you were talking on. But just with the violence here alone, usually everyone I talk to isn't forward. Everyone is like, what's going on? If it's not someone I know that's being hurt, being murdered, it's someone's child, someone that I know that knows someone. So we're always affected. It feels like it's an ongoing grieving type of process. Like we're forever mourning. But to get back to what my original question was, as I, went on and talked, Baba Imhotep, what do you think are some of those? How did we get here? How do we get here? And then with this initiative, how are we going to use? How is this Race First initiative going to be used to move back towards that? So how did we get here? What's happening? What are we doing? Why are we like that?
So Race First, how Race First will eventually assist in that regard. Race First have 10 basic principles. And the first principle, Race First, is Black consciousness. So there's a type of awareness that has to be reinstilled within us as a people. So we've gotten where we are at. If we're looking historically, if we look at 1968, 1967, 1966, we see a type of unity, a type of organization. We see these things taking place with us. If we look at 1969 and then going into the 70s and coming to the 80s, you can begin to see the deterioration with us as a people. Because what happened on that time period is a lot of different type of forces was introduced into the community. For one, this quote unquote term integration began to really take off post 1968. And in conjunction with that, the drugs was pushed into our communities a whole lot more through coming into the 70s with the heroin, the Black exploitation movements, movies in the 70s. And about time we get to the 80s, it's nothing but mad cocaine that's coming in. So the community as a whole have been under attack. And when the community came under attack that way, we lost over time, over 30 and 40 years, we've lost certain values that we once had. So when the community was attacked, it eroded our connectivity within the community because we began to take part in those destructive behaviors. Prostitution became real big. You know what I'm saying? The pimping became real big. We was dealing with heroin, then crack cocaine. So those things erodes your sense of self-worth. Your sense of self-worth is eroded when you begin to partake in those type of activities. So if our self-worth is being eroded, then we most definitely not going to concern ourselves with the other person or the larger community.
Yes.
So the community began to decline over time. So now we find ourselves in 2022, and we're looking at all this recklessness that's taking place. And this recklessness is taking place because what has happened is the society had fostered a mentality in our people that keeps us to look at each other as potential enemies. The women don't want to come together. The men don't want to come together. Everybody is jealous of one another. No one is clapping each other up. No one is bigging each other up. So we just see each other as a potential enemy or a potential, you see what I'm saying, dick. We're waiting for it. We walk around, come out the house in the morning time. We mad, we angry. We don't speak to each other. We say things like, I'm waiting for somebody to get it my way. They gonna get it. I'm gonna give it to them. The first person to get online, he gonna get it. I'm gonna give it to him. So we have a mentality of death, a mentality of negativity, a mentality of nothingness. And we walk around this way, and then the society around us, it feeds it. The news feeds it. The radio feeds it. everybody what is making money off of our destruction. Our destruction is profitable to this society. It's very profitable for Black people to destroy themselves. And that's what's happening.
Wow. That was a lot, but definitely it was just some confirmations, because that was a lot of things that I'm sure others, who are listening, and just us, period, living in Baltimore City, that can acknowledge and can recognize and can realize. I was just thinking to myself the other day that when I was younger, when you were breaking it down, far as like, the generations and the decades and the years that basically led up to this corrosion, this erosion of our Black consciousness. I just was thinking, being probably preteen and hearing about someone getting killed, it was like, it was unheard of. It was rare. It was happening, but it was very unlikely that it would be happening in a despicable rate, an outrageous rate that is happening today. I mean, people are every day, constantly. It's not just as night, it's morning, noon, night, evening, any type of day. People are so arrogant and so brazen to carry out now in the city a lot of their violent acts. But just when I was like a preteen and people would get killed, it was shocking. People would get killed, we would mourn. It was shocking. It was very like unheard of. But today it's sad, because like I was acknowledging, if it's not someone in my family or someone that I'm connected to, who I think as family, then it's someone else that I know, or it's their family or whatever that's being connected. And for the life of me, as precious as life is, I at first could not understand it, but you touch on a lot of the issues, or a lot of the means, the causes to how we got to here and having this mentality. And you were saying some of the principles of the race first was one, Black consciousness. I looked over some of it. It was Black economics and everything else like that. The topic of the show is love thyself, or what else? And my thing is, with all of this going on, and with even me being able to acknowledge it, you being able to acknowledge it and spew it out, you're not the only one, Baba Imhotep. You know this. Your people, they have that same mentality to want to lift us up and want to do better. It's so many different organizations, including yours, that you're the head of and you're running, that are here in the community. But those one of the issues too, that even the positive organizations that are here to do that and to push that forward sometimes are not on the same accord either, because we talked about that connection and us having that mindset and that outlook on our brothers and sisters as if we are enemies and competition. And you're right. The things that we wake up to, everyone is so angry things is going on, our mentality. I fall in it sometimes myself, Baba, and I have to check myself and give myself affirmations that, some things and my feelings and stuff are temporary. But you're right. A lot of times when I'm walking around in the city, I'm trying to be as pleasant, show everyone that love, give out that energy. And of course, use my platform right here on that. You better live, because there's so much going on, and it's more to life than just dying. But with all of that being said, and with all of us knowing this and seeing what is going on, why do you think that we still have this selective outrage and not to do more when it comes to us? What is stopping us with all this going on? Because it's been going on for generations. Some of the things that we face as people, police brutality, these murders now. So we are killing ourselves. And if we're not killing ourselves physically, we in a way are doing it emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So what is the reluctancy? And us knowing all of this, what do you think, Baba, is Imhotep, is the reluctancy of people to, one, acknowledge this and try to do better for ourselves? What stops us? Aside from, okay, we know what's been plagued on us as a people, but right here, right now in 2022 in our city, what is stopping us? What do you feel is some of the biggest things that is stopping us from getting there?
So your question, it would have to be answered on multiple levels. So the first level, in terms of the everyday folk, the street people, what's stopping is that they have actually adopted the mentality, like all behavior comes from a mentality, is a mindset. There is no behavior separate from thought. So what have happened to a lot of our people is that we accept the behavior because we too think the same way. Like the brother who pulled the trigger yesterday, the person who have not pulled the trigger yet, he also think that way. He just have not been confronted with a situation that requires him to pull the trigger yet. So we are walking around sharing in the same thought process. Some of us are just acting out on it quicker than others, for the most part. Now, that's at the basic level. Now, the other level, the people that go to work every day, the people that do see it and still have a reluctancy, because the people that go to work every day, most of them are only concerned with figuring out how they're going to pay their next bill.
Oh, say it.
They're only concerned with trying to figure out how can I pay my next bill. I am not concerned with all this other stuff that's taking place. But that's the nature of capitalism. See, capitalism, what it does, it erodes the humanity of the people that's partaking in the system. The longer we partake in this capitalistic system, the more we are going to lose our humanity. Our human sensibilities will be lost. Our human connectivity will be totally disconnected. Right now, people only trying to make money. Even the ones, for the most part, that's out there in those streets that's backwards as hell, trying to make a dollar some kind of way, right? Because of the nature of the system. So if we're going to truly attack what's happening, it has to be attacked on multiple levels. What society is doing is they're totally victimizing the people that's caught up in the rat race that's on the ground. Now, I'm not trying to excuse any behavior, but the rat race that's on the ground is also connected to corporate America. It's connected to the justice system. It's connected to the courts. It's all connected. It's connected to the mayor's office because the mayor can do more than what he's doing.
Yes, he can.
Right? Not even, I'm saying any single mayor that's in that position possesses the power to do more than what they do. It's a matter of being willing to do, will not do. You can do it because at the end of the day, he runs the city. It's his city. He can run this city how he sees fit within the bounds of the law. There's more can be done, right? You can't tell. I'll give an example. What I mean is this. In the lower part of Park Heights, I'm talking about from Cold Spring all the way down to Park Circle. Ricestown Road to Greensboro Avenue. That's a huge area. There's not a single school. Dr. Martin Luther King, the school I went to, is closed down. In the city, it's about to put it up to let people bid for it to do whatever they want to do with the building. Now you got this whole big expansive area of children that has to get to some type of school. So now they have to travel into an area where they're not from, and that's why we got a lot of beefs. Because how the city set up this redistricting, and they have people traveling into these different schools in these different areas. Wow. We know Baltimore is tribal. We know Baltimore is based in communities and sets like that. It always been that way. So when you got us crossing over and going over, it creates problems.
Yes.
So to really answer the question, nothing is really going to change if we wait for these people in levels of power. They are not going to jeopardize their livelihood to save Black people. They don't love us that much. Even those who look like us don't love ourselves enough to go all out to save Black lives, right? Our babies are dying, and we know they're dying at a rapid rate. It should be like Sister Soldier said 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It should be an uproar. Right?
Yes.
This couldn't happen in any other community at this rate. Now, I'm not even talking about who's perpetrating. The fact that our children are dying is a problem. And how can you, as a Black woman, be at the head of the city and don't declare a state of an emergency and make every agency in every department, you know what I'm saying, focus on saving this Black community.
Yeah.
And don't give a damn what anybody say about it, because it's your people that's dying in your city on your watch.
Yes. Woo! Couldn't have said it no better myself. Last week I touched on that a little bit when the city was visited by the governor, and some things that they was putting forth to make other communities safer because of some crime issues that been going on down in there, like Little Italy, things of that nature. The $500,000 that was awarded straight to that community for their outroar and their outrage on what was happening down in that area. But those very things that's happening down in that community, I made the point to bring that up as to say was kind of like the thoughts of, Emmett Till mom had when she said, when something was happening right, down south and they were still residing somewhere else, it really didn't hit her as if it was her problem and her issue. And that was the point of me bringing it up to our neighbors in Little Italy and everything else like that. And I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. It seems as if soon as something is affecting them that's not us, then they get to moving. They get to moving. And Mayor Brandon Scott made a comment saying that we as Baltimoreans understand that is the culture, and to address things like this would take time. But that's my thing. How much time? Even when I think about some things about the school system and our kids going back to school, this being the first week of school in that system, Baba Imhotep, and still not having any air conditioning, school getting out half a day already for no air conditioners, which is absurd to me. So when? If not now, then when? This stuff has been going on for too long. And you're absolutely right. I know many of people who probably voted for him and other people that we've had in there to do just that, to make a difference and to make a change. And there's a lot of people that are on that level that do a lot of talking, but you don't see them doing the walking. So I just acknowledge, and basically say, I agree with everything you're saying. A lot of times those are my sentiments exactly. I just came, just resigned from a job that I've been with for 13 years. And I was working on a project that was contracted through the mayor's office. And I always say sometimes partnerships are important in connecting. And when we do get that opportunity to connect. But I was very disappointed that the very people that you reach out to support, the city on some of these initiatives, Mayor Brandon Scott on his initiative to address this crime, that those entities within that system that he has working on those initiatives, the Baltimore Police Department, the state's attorney office, or whatever, they don't listen to the people who are there really to do the work. You're right. Everything is just set up like this is the default way. This is the way that it needs to be done. And they're so worried about controversy and the politics of it all versus the people. So here we understand that has been the culture, but we don't agree with that being the culture of these rapid deaths and everything about people. And that's what I'm saying. What do we do? What do we do? I'm tired of waking up. I'm tired of hearing about family, brothers and sisters. You're right. Kids are losing their lives. I just was reading someone lost their life recently up on Morgan property, shot in the head. It just was a brazen drive-by. Well, some people came and shot up some people who were up Park Heights. I know that is a community that Mayor Brandon Scott comes from. So he is aware of the plagues and everything else like that. And yes, the schools and everything else like that, I agree with that as well. The way they disperse us, having to travel alone to these schools and get to these schools very far from their home is very dangerous for our children. I'm one where my daughter's in middle school. I wouldn't dare let her drive on public transportation to or from school because it's just always something. This is always something. So even with that being said, we just will talk. Why do you think? Oh, well, you already said that it's basically politics over people. Brandon Scott, we know that he could be doing more, but he's not. And we can't wait on them. We cannot wait on them. And that's why I am, grateful that you started the initiative, the movement on race first to try to get us to tone back into some of that. So we talked about the Black consciousness. Can you tell us what are some of the other concepts of this movement, when y'all will be doing something else, how people will get, more information? What are your plans, and not waiting for our city government officials who we know can do more? How can we get connected to Rates First, who knows that and is saying the time is now? It's been, but right now this is what we're doing, and you should jump on board.
So, great question. So Race First, like I said, the first principle is Black consciousness, and then after Black consciousness is Black pride. And the reason why Black pride is there because we've lost the love for self, we've lost the pride in self, we've lost the glory we once had for just being Black, and that's because we live in a society that have systematically attacked us and made us believe that we were being attacked because we were Black. We even say it sometimes, and I say the logic is off. We may say something like, well, they only shot her or beat him or shot him because he was Black. If that was a white person, they wouldn't have done that. Most of us say that, and I get what we mean. But listen to the logic. We are saying that a wrong has been perpetrated because you were Black. It implies that Black is problematic, and they have made us think that way for so long. No, all the injustice that we have received, if it had nothing to do with us being Black, it was all because they were who they are. Simple as that. It was in their spirit, in their heart, in their mind. It was their thoughts that drove them to do what they did. It had nothing to do with us being who we are. And so because we have been subjected to so much of their hatred and terrorism, we've lost the type of glory in ourselves. We don't see us as being this strong, beautiful, radiant people that we once were. So Black pride is necessary because once that pride is rekindled in us, we're not going to just tolerate bullcrap. We're not going to go for anything. We're not going to sit down while you're running over top of us. We're not going to allow you to exploit us. We're not going to allow you to sell us a dream and never show up. Once the pride is there, we're going to stand up. So that's why the Black pride is very essential for the work that we do. Historically, when you look at us as a people, whenever we have made significant leaps and bounds as a group of people, not these little individual successes that we confuse with collective progress. There's a difference. There is individual success, but individual success is no indication of collective progress.
Okay.
But when we look at collective progress, it surrounds those points in our history when we totally embrace who we were. The Black Power movement, the Harlem Renaissance, Marcus Garvey. You can go back, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Even in the 1800s, David Walker's Appeal, Heavy Holly and gone up. When they was like, man, yo, we Black, Nick Africans, embrace that. It was when we started doing that, we made leaps and bounds and we changed and we transformed things. So we had to get back. That's very important.
Yes. I'm going over here to some of the comments for a little bit. A good brother, Nate, the host of the Artist Exchange, my brother on Be Exposed Radio, made some comments when we were talking about the schools. He just was making a comment that the school is now a real estate business. It's all about money. Like how you were saying, there's a school up there that's for sale. And basically just saying the school system is trash from the top down, and we understand a lot of our systems are definitely trash. It's definitely some things that need to be looked back at and reestablished, let alone taken out. Basically, need to be revised. I don't understand how so many of these systems that we know started at a time where it was more, not saying more apparent, but when we knew, or it was more comfortable for the others who were against Black folks to set upon us on things that they know that will hold us back, like the justice system, the school system, and so they didn't want us to learn anything, the justice system, the mass incarceration. So a lot of these things that are within these systems and the way that they operate were already set up to be against us from the start. And a lot of these entities are very reluctant to change anything about themselves, let alone want change for us. He also had made a comment and was saying, what can the mayor do if the people that live there currently will not talk to the police when there's a problem? So I think
Can I address that?
Yes.
Because that question comes up a lot.
Yeah.
It comes up a lot. And I think what's missing is that there is no relation. See, the word police literally means to maintain a type of order. Like, so that what we call the police department is an actual institution. It's a part of the state. So the individuals who are hired, they are actually doing the bidding of the state. And most of that institution have hurt the community. I'm gonna give a perfect example. I'm gonna use myself. I was shooting dice before. It was a while ago. I was young. I was probably like 19. I was just shooting dice. Police came, I ran. I just so happened to run through an alley. No one was in the alleys. I ran through the alley and I caught myself hiding in some bushes. And when the police cut me off, they chased me in the alley, and the car went around and met me at the bottom of the alley. And this is what they say. They say, shoot that nigga. And it just so happened that an old man was on his back porch. He said, y'all might not have hurt that boy. That's one instance. I'm going to tell you another instance. I was on my front porch because I live on Shirley Avenue. I was on my front porch, and the police came past, and he drove past, and he said, what are y'all doing? We didn't respond to him. We just sat on my front porch. He put his car in park. He was angry. He was mad. He got out of his car. Me and my brother, we proceeds to go in the house. Shut the door. My mother had a door, a glass door with all a bunch of glass on it. This police took it upon himself to break the glass, stick his hand inside the door, and proceed to open the door. My mother had to run down the steps and address him. Now, that's two instances, but I can go on. So this institution have violated its privilege in the community. Now, I'm not saying that, people are justified for not talking. I'm not saying that, anything like that. I'm saying that the reason why most of the people don't work with the police is because they have seen them doing something treacherous. And so, until the mayor, right, get the courage to deal with the police and have that commissioner, have those police officers go in the community and build relationships, because that's what it's supposed to be. If they don't have a relationship, it's not going to work. So there is no relationship. The police is viewed as an occupying force, an oppressive force within the Black community. So they're never going to get the type of cooperation that they need. And we cannot blame the people for that. The police department created that.
Right.
They created that. So right. Brandon Scott, if he want to be, like I said, he's the mayor. He has the last say so. As a mayor, as a leader, you must be willing to do things that are not popular for the people. He's not doing anything that's not popular. He's doing everything that's work with the powers that be. You got to push against that. Look at Marion Barry did. And even after Marion Barry got locked up for his scandal, they still voted him back in. Because he always put the people out there first. He did for the people. This mayor here and the mayor before this mayor, And man, for that now, they ain't doing nothing for us.
Nothing. Well, they have block parties and they have events. We talked about that a little bit last week on this event that's coming down, Charm City Live, or something that the mayor is planning to have on a war memorial front lawn down there in front of City Hall, bringing Babyface, Kelly Price, and all them here. Some people are already here and saying, "Oh no, I'm not going, not at all." And everything else like that. But going back over to my comments, they were saying now some of those incidents sound like complaints. How were they followed up on? And that probably was some of the things, as far as with you, when they were saying, you know, you were being harassed by the police. But before you even comment, I can just share that I've had some of the same instances myself. It's not ironic that you bring up your experience, because I also elaborated on that as well on my last show, and just also remembering when I was young and the police harassing my family and kicking on the door and everything else like that. Yes, we did certain things back then to try to inform them of what was going on, and I guess like get some type of, internal investigation going. But we all know here in Baltimore City, a lot of our complaints about how we were being mistreated were being ignored. They very, very much were being ignored. So even in an instance, like you said, we don't have a relationship with the police. So many people have been hurt, have been devastated in some type of way. You know, I've had situations been pulled off, the police curse me and everything else. I say they never approach a situation with the right energy from the jump. Baba Imhotep. I always say that. So yes, I've had my experiences in self, and I know from my experiences, I've tried to reach out in different ways to report different officers, but nothing was ever done. We know now they came here after the tragic death and killing of brother Freddie Gray. They came here. A lot of things were let out about the drug gun task force and everything else like that. They came up with a consent decree to do certain stuff when it came to us. But nothing seems to really be getting done. It looks like we have a phone call because the phone lines are open. I thank everybody who's already making the comments. Thank you, Baba Imhotep. We're going to go ahead and take this call and let them join in on the discussion and see what they had to say about what we was always already talking about, because, you know, it's our views, your news. So caller.
Hey. I didn't want to write a book in your comment section, but I understand what you and what the brother is saying. However, one complaint is a drop in a bucket. But if everybody in that neighborhood would complain, they wouldn't have a choice but to. The reason that Little Italy or Hamden don't have the problems that a Park Heights or a Pigtown has, is the reason for that is because they complain, and they complain in numbers, and they active in their neighborhood associations, and they do something. Complaining and then putting everything on Mayor Brandon Scott or our state's attorney, who y'all did not vote for, who y'all about to feel what she actually was doing for the community when this new man is sworn in, or if he wins, one of those new people come in. But we got to stop complaining and be proactive. The mayor can only be as great as his constituents. We are his constituents. We are the people that fuel that. So if you don't participate, then there's nothing you can say. And the reason a lot don't happen in Park Heights is because the majority of the people don't vote in that community, or they're not supplying or coming to none of the neighborhood associations. Now, I know y'all have an active one, but when I went to a couple of them, it was not the majority of that community there. Most of the people there were people who wanted to develop in that neighborhood, which takes away the people who actually live their votes, their homes. So we got to stop complaining about what Brandon isn't doing and what this politician isn't doing if you're not showing up to the meetings, or if you're not making your voice heard or making numbers happen. They listen to numbers. And if it's only one person complaining, that's not numbers to them, unfortunately. But yeah, I agree with both of you, but we have to do our part as well. We can't blame everything on Brandon Scott, who's just one person. He knows what's going on in that community. But if the community isn't speaking up for itself, what can he say? What can he do? Y'all not showing up. Y'all not showing up. So
My position is this.
thank y'all for having the show tonight.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your thoughts. Definitely on that manner. I can just begin to say, I think, we were talking about it too from a standpoint that say collectively Baltimoreans, and I get kind of, I guess rallying behind our mayor and wanting to do things, I guess, to try to give them that push to speak up for us. I do agree that we already talked bases on that not enough of us come together and be outraged to make it known on what's going on. But at the same time of having this brother of Mayor Brandon Scott and not blaming him, but just basically saying what it is. Like, you are the mayor. So rather you have people who are, as the caller said, backing certain things and coming to certain things, yes, that definitely is necessary, because one person cannot do it by themselves. But also, I believe that when you are in a position to do just that, you went up for this seat. You went up to be the mayor. So with him knowing the crime that exists, he is well aware also of the support that may lack when you're in that office. You get what I'm saying? As we know, support lacks amongst us in the community. So with him knowing all that and taking that seat, my position and how I feel is, if you express Baba Imhotep, is that he could be doing more. So yes, I acknowledge we could be doing more too, but him being the mayor, yes, he could be doing more right now in his position to address a lot of these things, and especially how we were talking about the relationship with the police. When they are in the community, it's not in an effort to regain or sustain a positive relationship with its community members, with its civilians. It's always in that regard to just police and simply do that, and not really, it doesn't feel like a connection to be there with the people, or develop those relationships where people do feel comfortable and complaining and coming together. Because sometimes even when we do that, it's looked in because of who we are. Some people can sometimes protest peacefully, do different things peacefully, but when it comes to our display of Black power and wanting to do those type of things and come together, not only are we viewed individually as a problem, a lot of our organizations that we come together and trying to do this, or when we do get together collectively as a community and do something, it's switched around as if we are the problem when we are trying to march towards solutions. So I agree with you as well, Carla, that yes, our people, our neighborhoods, we have to do more. We do have to do more. But also, just like I said, with Topstat, is that's why I complain about the job that Brandon Scott is. It's still much love and light to the brother. But just like with my platform, I'm trying to bring some positivity and some acknowledgement. We can't negate from the fact that he is there in a position to be mayor, to get a hold and a structure and an order on some of this stuff. And you cannot keep just blaming the people when you did your whole campaign talking about your crime fighting initiative and things that you would do. And now when the time comes for you to do some of those things, I don't think enough effort has been put in on the short-term goals to get to the long-term one.
I tried my hardest to hold my tongue.
Go ahead. Don't hold it. That's the voice in the sky. That's money. Go ahead. Don't hold it. We like to talk about it. Let me get your view on it, Monty.
I really do think this is a great conversation. Y'all talking about some great points, and especially the caller and Brother Imhotep. But I hate that we always bypass the fact that this is not just a mayor city. This is a city of citizens. And you people, saying the citizens, are responsible for your own actions. And we don't like to take responsibility for the fact that we are the cause for why this city is the way it is. We can't put that on the mayor. He cannot be your mother, father, sister, grandmother, and grandfather when you're responsible, when your actions are the cause of this city's downfall. That's all I wanted to say. Now y'all can continue.
Thank you.
So thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
Let me,
Yes.
let me address it like this, because I oftentimes heard these. The first thing I want to say is this, for those that may be listening, is that my critique of Brandon Scott would be the same critique if it was Sheila Dixon, Catherine Pugh, if it was Selfie Blake, if it was any of them. This is my critique. My critique is that the only way change is going to occur, because at the end of the day, it is on the leadership's watch. If the leadership is afraid to do something different, there can be no significant change.
That part.
Now, so
what's the different? What's the different that you want him to do? What different can he do? What's the different?
I'm going to tell you right now. The same way that white boy Trump sat in office and pretty much made it his business to try to undo everything he thought Obama done, but he did it. It showed that I got the power. I'm gonna do what I want to do. What I'm saying is this, right? Inside our city, the resources, and I know this because I've been doing work in the city for almost 20 years. The resources don't always get to where they need to get you. Like I'm talking about, like that building. I'm no fan of Baltimore City Public School. That's why I'm opening my own school up anyway in 2010. But like I use that building as an example. That building is going up for an RFP. And the people who know about it are not the people that's in that community in Park Heights. Now, but that building, the mayor can do with that building what he wants. He do have the power to do this. So you're going to put it up for RFP. You're going to let some big typical, chances are, some white organization going to come along and get the building and operate it in such a way in a predominantly Black community that's not going to work in their interest. I'm saying this. I'm saying that some of the moves that the mayor, not necessarily Brandon, but any mayor that's Black, I'm saying that some of the moves they're going to have to make is going to have to be something radical. Not necessarily anything that's illegal, but it can't be the same type of stuff because we see that it's in effect. Case in point, like he got what he got. He got the violence reduction initiative out there, right? That's what he got out there, a violence reduction initiative. But by me being in the community and being in the community and doing the work and just talking to people, Brandon haven't pulled together. He haven't pulled together in any capacity any of the true shot callers that could regulate some of the violence. That's a radical move.
Who are those individuals? Who are those individuals?
Hear me out. Follow me for a second. I'm trying to help you understand what I'm saying when I say doing something different. I'm saying that he can put together a task force that can connect with each community, because all communities has, people in it that know stuff. He can connect with certain communities and he could reach certain people that need to be reached and bring them to the table and have some type of conversation. I'm saying it has to be something different. It has to be something different.
On that premise right there, I have a question on that though.
Yes.
So are you saying when you say these shot callers, these people that know these people that may be destroying this city? And
I can examine. I'm gonna use myself. No, let me use myself. So my birth name is Antoine Terrain. That's my birth name, Antoine Terrain. So you can look me up. So in Park Heights, I'm one of those shot callers. I was a duct tape bandit in the 90s. I still know what's going on in Park Heights. Right. That's what I'm saying. You got people like me that's hear me out. What I'm saying is, Brandon, I'm saying you got multiple people like me that know those people in those communities. Right? But because resources aren't reaching the people that can reach the people, it's a breakdown. I'm saying that me and Brandon never had a conversation at all. And it's multiple people like me that's around the city. We have to be brought into the conversation.
Right. And that was
That's
one of
what I'm
the
saying.
points that I was making, Baba Imhotep, when I was saying that I just now left. Hold on 1 minute, Carl. I do appreciate y'all.
That was me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And my call is still, up in this comments, definitely making this conversation more interesting and keeping it going, because it is some information. And just like I said, it's a blessing to always come together and be able to, have these type of opinions and these thoughts and be able to share them. But that was one of the things that I was touching key on, and me just leaving that initiative right there that you mentioned. What was that initiative? And the thought of it is right. And just like how you were saying that not enough of the people who I know, like I felt like I was doing my due diligence when I was involved, in far as like the hiring of the staff to bring people in who I know had some type of influence, who were from, the community, from that life, are prominent in these communities. So I reached out to those people to say, hey, even though, they had some issues in the past with law and everything else like that, but to say, hey, this is the initiative, is to combat against gun violence, which they later changed to group violence, because all violence here isn't always connected to gun, even though that's kind of our prominent, issue when it does come to violence. But reached out to these individuals. Look, this is what we're doing. You need to get on board. And it was just that. A lot of them people did. It came, just like the other organization we have here, where they try to do it within the safe streets as well. But my point too is, even with working with these organizations, like how you said, when we got there and everything was at the table, it was no listening to those. How you mentioned you didn't have a conversation. I felt as being the head of, the people that are responsible to carry this initiative out in that program. Why wouldn't you? We communicated sometimes with the mayor's office, but never really had a conversation with the mayor, being able to share our opinions. And in a lot of those rooms, when we would meet up with the mayor's office, with the state's attorney, that was my point, that a lot of our opinions and our views on what some of the issues were, or how we felt it could make that initiative better, were not heard. They were not heard. It was like they already had an outline based on things, or based on what they gathered from, other cities who have already pushed, these certain initiatives out on the crime reduction. But they wasn't listening to us. They wasn't listening to us. And that initiative did start right here in the Western District of West Baltimore, and numbers and stuff are coming down when it comes to fatal shootings and non-fatals. And I give kudos to that team that I left, because I know a lot of it does have to do with some of the work that they're doing behind the scenes, and a lot of it that's not being reported. So yes, I was right in the middle of that, Baba Imhotep. Me and you got to talk one time, just on a level, and I just was telling you what some of my issues and concerns were with being on that project. And I was kind of like not burned out from helping my people, but kind of burned out and kind of, disappointed in being connected, or having this opportunity, what I felt was a great opportunity. Yet when I'm connected to this, and I felt like I was there, destined to be here as the assistant director on this thing, but I just didn't feel like what it originally supposed to been, that it was moving to that. I just felt like it was no difference. It was like that same old thing. Like, there's a whole bunch of talking, whatever politically looks good. We're going to get out here. We're going to have a bunch of community block parties. Yes, our staff is going to work with these individuals, but the real work, like you said, the partnership between the relationship between the police, between its community members, at no time, because I always acknowledge, it's up to us. And again, that's why I had brought you on the show, because this race first movement, what you're doing here in the city. I think that is a blessing with a lot of the other organizations, you know, that we have out here. But this one alone that speaks to the Black people in our Black community and getting back to that mentality and that love for thyself, with all of this stuff going on, because this is a discussion, you know, we talking about it on here, but this is one of those discussions that you can go anywhere and talk about, and it'll be an ongoing conversation, and people from different arenas are going to have their different concepts or their different perspectives and different facts and different informations or opinion on what they can show, and what they can speak on about it. But that's just one of those things too, that even with those different opinions, those are still some things that stopped us from coming together effectively, as we should. You know, that's my thought on it. And you know, far as us loving ourselves, loving our communities, loving all of that, we got to do it together. So no, by no means is the Empress, ChasReal Lady Cake Mix, putting it all on the mayor. But again, I feel like more can be done at that level. And the same so for us. I think that as a people, we could be doing more in our own communities, but a lot of us fall back into this feeling of we're so used to what is happening that we kind of get complacent, and we normalize it. We normalize all of this destructive stuff that's going on. We normalize it. What you think, Baba Imhotep? Because you already spoke on this though, on how
I agree, and I want to also be clear for the listeners, is that I'm very clear that I don't believe or think that any single mayor can change this. And I know that what Brandon is dealing with, you know what I'm saying, predates Brandon. I'm very clear about that. So I'm not, I don't do no blaming at all. That's why I do all the work that I do. I'm not blaming, but I do make critiques and have conversation. Now, if a person never used heroin at all, it's very hard to understand why a heroin addict does the things that they do. Yeah. It's very hard to understand. You never used heroin before. You never shot heroin in your arm. You never was addicted to it. You never was controlled by that substance. It's kind of hard to understand why they do what they do at times. You can kind of try to figure it out, but you don't really get the thinking behind the drug use. And oftentimes what we can do is we can stand off to the side and we use our current mentality to make an assessment of someone that's dealing with something. And I say that to talk about the brothers and sisters that are in the streets. You know, oftentimes dealing with the brothers and sisters that's in the streets, we need to understand the mentality that's driving that, you know. So they ain't always, you know, as simple as it sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, why they just want the community? Why they doing this? So why don't they just do this right here?
I'm sorry, Baba Imhotep. I see. What's your name? Got to press onto the president, but please, I'm going to share Baba Imhotep's information in the chat, guys. If you was watching, please like, comment, and share all the time. Every Thursday, 7 to 9, we will be back. And you know how I always say it: you better live. Watch and see what that president got to say, and let's talk about it next week. Thank you again, Baba.
Has ever known. With 3 simple words: we the people. We the people. These 2 documents and the ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They're how we became the greatest nation on earth. They're why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it. We must never forget We, the people, are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We, the people, have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall. A flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, world wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just. That is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things, but I'm an American president, not a president of red America or blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people. They refuse to accept the results of a free election. And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. They see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why respected conservatives like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans, quote, a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans from every background and belief who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it's within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point, one of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards, to build a future or obsess about the past, to be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history. This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it. This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibilities. We are still at our core a democracy. And yet, history tells us that blind loyalty to a single leader and a willingness to engage in political violence is fatal to democracy. For a long time, we've told ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it, each and every one of us. That's why tonight, I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology. We're all called by duty and conscience to confront extremists who put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us we cannot allow to prevail. We hear, you've heard it, more and more talk about violence as an acceptable political tool in this country. It's not. It can never be an acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever. We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents, just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens. On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, and the day before predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This is inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. We can't allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong. We each have to reject political violence with all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now, we can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined, for that is a path to chaos. Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent. We're a big, complicated country. But democracy endures only if we, the people, respect the guardrails of the republic. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive when one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election. Either they win or they were cheated. And that's where the MAGA Republicans are today. They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win. It's fundamental. American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences. I will not stand by and watch. I will not, the will of the American people, be overturned by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost. I will not stand by and watch the most fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote, and have your vote counted and be taken from you and the American people. Look, as your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm asking every American to join me. Throughout our history, America's often made the greatest progress coming out of some of our darkest moments, like you're hearing that bullhorn. I believe we can and must do that again, and we are. MAGA Republicans look at America and see carnage and darkness and despair. They spread fear and lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America, an America with an unlimited future, an America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we could lift America from the depths of COVID. So we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And today, America's economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We have more to go. I believe we could build a better America. So we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And we've now embarked on a decade of rebuilding the nation's roads, bridges, highways, ports, water systems, high-speed internet, railroads. I believe we could make America safer. So we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton. I believe we could go from being the highest cost of prescriptions in the world to making prescription drugs and healthcare more affordable. So we passed the most significant healthcare reform since President Obama signed the Affordable Care Act. And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever. The cynics and the critics tell us nothing can get done, but they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do, not a single thing beyond our capacity if we do it together. It's never easy, but we're proving that America, no matter how long the road, Progress does come. Look, I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty. Millions of veterans once exposed to toxic burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and their compensation. American manufacturers come alive across the heartland, and the future will be made in America. No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say, I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward, not only in words, but in actions. Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future. Not because of me, but because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars, not on the politics of grievance, but on a future we can build together. The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail. They believe America, not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, a nation where no one is left behind. I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God, that all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect, that all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence, and that democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible. Folks, and it's up to us. Democracy begins and will be preserved in we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy is imperfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy. But history and common sense good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy. We have never fully realized the aspirations of our founding, but every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people who have been excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea, the most powerful idea in the history of the world, and it beats in the hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. It unites America. It is the American creed, the idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. That's what we believe. And that's precisely what we're doing. Opening doors, creating possibilities, focusing on the future. And we're only just beginning. Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy, the work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote. And if we do our duty in 2022 and beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We heeded our words. We heeded not our worst instincts, but our better angels. We proved that for all its imperfections, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept. There's nothing more important, nothing more sacred, nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be, and that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy. That for the next 200 years, we'll have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America, the United States of America. And may God protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
And
Okay, and we back. That Soul of the Nation addressed by President Joe Biden interrupted the show, but it definitely was necessary. It was a discussion. My guest who joined me, Baba Imhotep, give another special shout out to him. Thank you so much, Baba, for joining me with your views. You know, our news, your views. I really appreciate you. It definitely was necessary, and all that you shared was embraced, I hope, by all listening. If you want to get in contact with Baba Imhotep, his IG account is Baba Imhotep Fatu. So reach out to him for questions in that regard. Who's going to come in here and join me? I just got a notification from my guy in the sky. I think it's someone else. You're a god, Monty, but I gotta come up with another name for you. But yes, the producer of my show, my Be Exposed family. I told him the other day I adopted him as a mentor with all of this stuff, media, Be Exposed media. And I just love the brother. Who's going to join me is Brother Nate Kauser. We're going to talk about this Soul of the Nation address that we just heard during the interruption of the show. And let's get it happening. That can be what in the world? But you know how we do right here, coming through on You Better Live. And everything that we bring into you right here is things that you should be living for. Okay. Hey, Nate. Hey, how are you? So the speech didn't last as long as I thought it would. But what did you get from it, Nate?
A lot of that stuff is for pomp and circumstance. So I'm not saying that I don't believe any of it, but it is meant to, encourage the citizens and keep us encouraged, basically. So I don't really put too much in it because that's on a federal level. I'm a person that I know the power and the everyday and the things that affect me directly come on a local level. So those are the community and public addresses that I wait to listen for. What he said was a lot of information in terms of him helping to further that narrative that Trump is garbage, and the individuals that have supported him should enlighten themselves and really get things back in track, because Trump is nothing more than a figurehead for the Republicans that want to take over this country and keep it under their thumb. So I think we should not put too much into those addresses and put more emphasis on the things that are happening in our city. The same way we sit and listen to this, we could have went to a meeting at the city council on a Monday. And gotten more pertinent information on what's going on in our cities across the country. But that's just my perspective, and that's what I feel.
And you know what's going on. I was sitting here trying to listen, but yes, I agree. It was basically it seemed like some just encouragement to keep our spirit on as American citizens, and just speaking on. Because Trump, they say when in the next election, he's planning to run, but then with all this stuff that's going on with him, with this raid that recently happened and all that stuff going on with that, and why he's trying to fight back, and I was very surprised. Well, not really, because there's so many people that just love this guy, in spite of all the hate
just like you, though.
He spews out.
Yeah, I was saying some of them look just like you.
Yeah, absolutely. You can say that again. So why we say that Trump is the puppet, for the Republican Party, a lot of people, like you said, need to enlighten themselves, because, for the life of me, I don't live for that. I can't see how anybody that look like me alone, and I know the presidency does not only deal on me as an African woman, or African woman or African men as a whole, but we have a great presence in that thing, because we always talk about the need to vote and do certain things, but just with Trump's behavior, like how people, I don't get it. I guess people.
Well, a lot of them financially benefited from the pandemic in whatever way that was. A lot of people who feel like he is the one or the truth benefited in some way financially during that pandemic or during his tenure as president. And it is unfortunate that money sways people, but that's the community and society we live in. Money will always trump, the needs of the community. Okay. So if you got the dollars, you got the power.
And when you're saying that, though, it's so interesting, though, when you look at the people that you're speaking of, not the higher ups that would have benefited off of the pandemic, but the lower class of those people are still broke.
Right,
they didn't benefit whatsoever from
But that was
any
one of the
community.
things that I heard him say, though. That was one of the things that I just heard Biden say. The millions of people that came out of poverty, and they went right back in as soon as y'all opened up the doors.
Yeah, exactly. It was like they think they came out of poverty. They think he did all of these things for him. But no, you're still broke. You still live in a trailer. Or you still live in a
No, we're
broken
not
down
gonna say
home.
trailer.
Oh, yes, trailer. Because, you know, a lot of his push was up there, you know, with a lot of civilians who are like in the mining business, you know, those type of jobs and everything else like that. Like one of the things that he promised was to bring forth, you know, more jobs and different stuff like that for the economy. But just the negativity that Trump just cast out. My goodness.
As I was listening to the thing, I was writing down words that that was sticking out to me. Like some of the things he said, like white supremacists, COVID was one of the big ones, infrastructure, the divisive culture wars, and then voting. Those are some of the key words that was like sticking out to me. But then this distinction that he keeps making, and I'm glad he keeps making it because he has to, because he can't put Republicans all in one box. So he's making a distinction where he says, he clearly said that MAGA Republicans are a problem. And not the mainstream Republicans. That's when he made the distinction between mainstream and MAGA Republicans.
But they have to separate themselves, though. They're trying to play the fence.
Exactly. So there was a lot of anger throughout this week from him making that same statement at one of his other events where he called the MAGA Republicans. He said these are the words that he said. MAGA Republicans are acting semi-fascist. That's not an incorrect statement, but every Republican, all the talking heads that went on television over the past week have been making it seem like he was talking about all Republicans, and it's something about that. One of the common things that we keep talking about here on Big Exposed Radio is education. And education also includes the fact that you got to keep the meanings behind words that are very clear. That all words have definition. And when somebody says something, you can't go and make it your own. Because he said it. He already told you what he meant when he said it. So you can't change that around to mean that you're going to put this blanket statement on all Republicans when he did not say that.
But that's just crazy. Even when he comes out, even when Biden comes out, and just like how you saying, Monty makes statements into what we feel he's being exactly clear. When we talk about Trump, a person who comes out and makes all types of statements where
and never
saying what he's saying.
Sentences are complete sentences. Anytime Trump talks, it's never a complete sentence.
Yes, and even the statements that he comes out with, right? They be just so offensive. He can say anything that he want to say, and then this Republican Party has a way of trying to reiterate it, I guess, for him to
change it around, turn it around, whatever the case may be. Exactly.
Well, just know he's doing that on purpose because he comes from a celebrity type of space where you are trained to speak in sound bites. So people can pick up the small messages. He won't talk like a Biden will talk, where you'll actually hear a complete thought come out of his mouth. He won't speak like that because he speaks with sound bites. He speaks in those sound bites because he know that's what people gonna pick up on. And you can make it sound like anything.
Right.
You can, but it's very unfortunate to me that I don't expect anything different from other people. I expect a lot from my own people, though. And if you are swayed by power and money, it says a lot about your character and who you are. And many people have allowed his bravado, that toxic masculinity, if you will, to be able to sway them and think that that is what power is, or that's what being a man is. And it's very toxic. And it's the very people from our community who do that to other people, who throw rocks and hide their hand.
Yes.
Or take on that whole negative exterior where they're doing dirt to people and don't care who they hurt, buying up properties and don't care who they displacing. We can't keep blaming the other people because we're now dictating that. Now we were trained to do that, and it was pushed down our throat to do it, and we realized that's how people of other cultures stay in power, but it don't fit us. And to the brother you had on, Brother Hotep that you had on earlier, I could see the frustration in his face. I could see it. I was watching you all while I was talking, and I could see the frustration in his face. But what the individuals like him and myself and you all, what you have to understand is we have to become established. We can't wait for the powers to come to us or to wisen up. We have to be proactive and go out there and do the things. We can't wait for Biden to do it because they're going to block him the same way they blocked every other Democrat.
Right. And respectfully, that's what Baba Imhotep, was saying, even with his initiative and his movement that he has on the Race First. So I got his contact information in my chat, definitely, because that was one of the prominent points. Like when we see all of this stuff going on, if y'all haven't seen already, that we can't wait for these people. You know what I mean?
One of the things I wanted to say, I'm mad that he's not here because I would like to have his response from it on what I'm about to say. Because one of the things that, in the conversation that you guys were having is when he said that if Brandon being the mayor of Baltimore, would have, pulled some people to the table that we could have maybe, did something. But it kind of makes you complicit. Complicit in the fact that you already have those contacts and haven't used them to make things better on your own without having to involve the mayor. That's what kind of, pisses me off, because that's what we were talking about initially, is how we, the citizens, have to be able to hold ourselves responsible for how this city is operating. Because we can't continuously blame a mayor if we're not going to cooperate.
And definitely he is, where I can speak up, because he's not in here, I guess to speak on that alone, but I
actually would like him to come back and
some great things
talk on his behalf. I actually would like for him to come back. We should have this dialogue with him. But I wanted to get that out because I wanted to try to get that in there, but I knew we was running out of time in the first place.
Right.
I kind of held back. But we gotta understand that we are all complicit if we see things and don't say anything, and then expect for this city to be fixed by one person. It's not going to do. He has stuff on his plate. He's already got an agenda that he has to accomplish first before he can add everybody else's stuff to it.
Right, but I guess more and so, Monty, one of the points that I was trying to make through that was saying is that we do acknowledge that it doesn't take one person. It's definitely going to take all of us. I guess the point that we were making is that while he is in there, it should be more of an effort to do something different, something that has not.
We always want somebody else to do something different.
If that person has that position, that's the
no,
same.
But I'm saying what we are willing to do, because if you have, like he was saying, if you had those contacts, why haven't you used them without having to use the mayor? Why do you need that figurehead to do something about your neighborhood?
Right, and I think he was saying that because he is already moving in that way. I guess you might not know of the brother, but he.
No, that's not him in particular. Not him in particular.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the other people that always do that kind of thing.
In general, or whatever.
I believe he has his initiatives, but I'm talking about the others that don't have those initiatives, but always complain about their city and actually know their problem people.
Right.
They know who the problem people are.
Right. A lot of people, you already know how it is right here. A lot of people don't even speak up on things or want to do things until it directly affects them.
Yeah.
It's more so trying to speak on to that, even if it's not happening to you directly, it still is. It still should be an issue of concern of yours. And that's what is exactly concerning, is that it's not enough of us are truly concerned and really outraged in what's going on in this city. I mean, we talk about it. We be on social media, we hear about all the incidents, we look at the news, all of our children, everybody who's dying in the city. People kind of, it's sad. Oh, this my condolences.
Everybody using that same.
My condolences. Let's pray. And I can think of a couple of initiatives who have tried to take, a step on combating that or addressing that. Even though a lot of people didn't agree with them and stuff, like the no shoot zones guy that's crazy lately.
But I'm glad he took this.
But a lot of those people didn't go along with him because they knew who he really was and what he really was doing. It's a lot.
They made it more about They made it more about his
But a lot of those people who your previous guest was speaking about, those people, when they get that opportunity, and many of the people of this city have gotten that opportunity, what have they done? Many of the people who were active speakers and leaders during Freddie Gray, where are they now?
Yes.
Where are they now? They've all gotten their resume together and they wouldn't got the bag. That's where they are right now. Or they move on to bigger platforms and they forget the messaging that got them there. That's why often leaders don't go to the everyday citizen to do it, because once the problem has looked like it was solved, or once people have taken a deep breath, it's over. And a lot of those people who were leaders of a beautiful struggle, and a lot of those individuals, where are they now? 300 Black men, and I'm not disputing any of them, because they're all still doing what they're doing in their own way, but where are they?
Yes.
Are they still speaking for us?
Yes, there's just too many organizations here alone that I know about, for it not to be more of a thing. You know what I mean?
But that's the problem. People get that notoriety and that local fame, and that's it. That's it. Even with, and I love the sisters that have created it, but even the ceasefire.
Yes,
it just felt like it was just another initiative. And Brandon Scott has supported all of them. Those are the people that got him in. Those are the very people that were campaigning for him. And I'm not disputing any of it. I'm just saying, when you get that type of pull in the city, do something with it. But we have too many people who use it as a resume builder or just a clout foundation, where they get the fame and then they begin to bring in their own intentions and they become just like the politicians that we speak about. So we can't keep saying, well, there are people in the city, and I get what the brother was saying. I get what he was saying about himself personally, but that was a blanket statement that he made, because many of those people may have been calling, but they certainly won't be chosen because of what they represent. And people have been able to see them. That's why the community, they may support them on the entertainment side, but they're not going to support them.
Because sometimes in whatever we're doing, you know what I mean? And whatever we're doing, people will think, or, here they'll judge you. Even me, I did this, I've given an example of me doing this radio show and supporting people and the love. We can give all the love and the support in the world, but a lot of times here it's not reciprocated. And then when it is, people focus on more so the negatives of things, negatives of the person, and people will try to use what they feel, like even.
But you gotta clean that up, though, Chaz. Not you. I said those, and I meant those individuals. Those negative things. If you was out there shooting, stabbing, killing people, and now you want to become the mayor's associate, that don't work. You gotta work to clean up that backstory. You gotta do that. You can't expect for people to just open arms to you if you ain't did the work. Chastity, you have been doing what you're doing right now on this show. You've been doing this for months. You've been going through what you've been going through, but despite who tuned in, who listened, when it was just me or one other person listening, you still was talking like it was a million people. And that's the question you need to ask to some of these people who want to be leaders, who call themselves leaders in that community. Will you do the job when nobody is listening, or when the cameras aren't there? Because they don't even really care about the citizens. Are the cameras there? Look at the brothers, prime example, during Freddie Gray. All those hood leaders that got on cameras or got on lives, where are they now?
The preachers,
what are they doing? The preachers,
everybody was activists. Everybody.
Where they at now? Well, I'm gonna tell you where they at. They're going to get these same grants that Mayor Brandon Scott has released to the city. They're now getting grants to do what they really want to do, and then putting the change in their pocket. That's what they're doing right now. And I don't care who has something to say about it. That's what they're doing right now.
Well, if
not
they got
out
something to
here
say
speaking
about
for
it
the
and they
people.
watching, I hope that they like, comment, and share the show, or even, give us a call and let's talk about it. Because, like I was mentioning, this is just one thing that we can go on and on and on. Like, hey, this is the stuff that we know and we see it all the time. And I'm just baffled. And us just, in knowing this, knowing that to be fact, why we don't move in the direction to bring about the change. And then even us, sharing our opinion or our critique on brother man Brandon Scott or any other body, like how you said, it's not to, put them down or shun them in any way. It's just looking at things and what the reality of the situation is, because a lot of times you got to acknowledge it for it to be able to change. And,
You know why it doesn't change? I learned this. And this is something like a real old school activist told me. She said, poverty pays. Struggle pays. If nobody was living in poverty, nobody at social services would have a job.
And there would be no grants.
And there would be no grants. It would be no need for it. If everybody was doing good, we wouldn't need public servants. We wouldn't need them. So poverty, struggle, blacks, what they call it, black plight, all that pays. So those same individuals that want to be leaders, they not going to change but so much, because they going to fight. And then when the door opens and they're on the power side, they going to see, well, if I solve this problem, I don't have a platform no more.
Woo.
So I'm going to solve it just enough so I can keep talking.
Right? Everything about I say everything about money, and I think that's what it comes to when you say that the money is the root of all evil. And I think when when that statement is being made, is getting into all of those roots of all of that stuff.
You understanding it from a different perspective now.
Yes.
It's really the roots of all evil.
Yes.
And they say that about politicians. They have the best intentions, but once they sit down in that seat, we ain't heard nothing from Mosby since he became president of the city council.
Nothing.
You ain't heard of people. All he been doing is taking pictures with celebrities. And I'm sure he's done more than that. But that's what we see from you now. Before, you wasn't speaking much, but you was everywhere. You let them destroy your wife because you wanted power. You ain't stand behind your wife. You ain't said nothing because you wanted to be city council president. Now the city you about to feel it. This time next year, you gonna feel the fact that Marilyn Mosby ain't in that office no more.
Yes, they is. We already feeling it now.
You're
someone
right.
had made a joke. We had went out a couple of weeks ago, and I joined my cousins and some other powerful queens in the Queen's Day. And I remember one of me and my other cousins, we was on the side trying to have a little break, and the lady said, "Y'all better be careful because the police down here, they just now pulled me up." Don't do nothing. Marilyn Mosby is not in office no more. And they already back to their radical shenanigans.
She's still in office until the election, but they've already started saying, well, we ain't got to do what she say do.
Yeah.
We will lock you up.
Yeah. Fuck her, basically.
Right, but we keep doing that. We stand by the sidelines and we rally for this person. And when our personal bills aren't being paid, then we hate that person. Now we smearing it. By my studio, there's a bunch of flyers, and I don't see them on the west side of Baltimore. I only see them on the east side. And it's a weird thing. So it's these big white flyers that they have posted in random places, and they have her picture with liar on it.
With Marilyn Mosby. I was already
saying
some with some wanted posters with Brandon Scott, with Nick Mosley. I done seen them like downtown, but like Marilyn Mosby, a liar. Okay.
Yeah. But they better hope at least we get the Democratic choice, because if we get the Republican choice, it's really gonna go back to where it was about 10, 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, marijuana will be a lockable thing.
Right.
Lock up. They gonna get all us black folk.
So you ain't gonna be able to drive.
They think we the only ones that smoke weed though.
No, but we're the only ones that get pulled over for it.
Yes.
We're the only ones that get arrested at alarming rates for it, even though they got these dispensaries coming up now. But it's just, it pains me to see your guests fight for something so much where it just, we have to do more. And as he was talking, I was equating this to the school system.
Yeah.
You know, and I heard him say he gonna start his own school.
Yeah.
But what is he gonna do different than the regular school system isn't doing? I'm not saying his intentions are the same, but I'm saying, is he only gonna let in students that parents promise that they're gonna be involved? What's going to happen? Because
open up. I know about the school that he's opening, and I can't think of the name or whatever, but it's basically to try to reach, the Black children, especially the young Black men. But it's an African-centered type of restoring that self.
But who's going to be involved in that school? Chances are people who are already on that brainwave in terms of parents are going to definitely bring their children. So, but the problem is still going to exist.
Yeah.
It's still going to exist. And even the parents outside of that still bring their children, you're going to still need their involvement to make things really happen for that school.
Right.
Because
he definitely includes everybody. We got to bring Baba Imhotep, of course, back on the show, because it's like I say, he wears a mini hat. He definitely includes everybody, and he definitely is all for the people. He ain't excluding anybody, trying to get us back to that Black consciousness, that Black power, that Black economics, that Black ideology, that Black philosophy, all of that. So we got to bring him back in so he can let us know more. We did talk about the race first movement and that rally that they had, but yes, most definitely. Like I said, it is my pleasure and privilege to try to, bring stuff here through Be Exposed Radio on the You Better Live radio show. Because I had so many different opinions, and like you, Nate, like you, Monty, like so many of our listeners, versus the resources not getting into our community, these type of things, we don't come together enough and talk about them and walk on them. Just like how we were saying, when people get their own opinion on you, personally, regardless of what or whatever, your initiative sometimes can be slighted on really what the purpose is. And we down in the last 2 minutes of the show. Nate, you are like a super guest now, because times two, I always like to talk to you, but y'all better go ahead, because y'all never ever want to show y'all handsome faces on here. So
well, let me tell you, I am on bed rest right now.
Oh, really?
And I'm trying to just be relaxed, but I still have an opinion.
Please
and
relax.
I still have my computer and my work on my bed. So
okay.
I just tuned in and was like, I have an opinion and I'm gonna share it.
And I appreciate you. Lord knows I do. Nate show comes on tomorrow, the Artists Exchange. What time is it, Nate? It comes on
at 7 p.m. same time.
At 7 p.m. same time. So y'all gonna have to check back in.
Your show come on at 5 o'clock p.m., not 7.
Oh, well, good. I'm sorry, because it used to come on at 7. I was 7.
He relaxed and he on bed rest. So.
I have a muscle relaxer in me, so that it is doing its job.
He meant 5.
I did. I really did mean 5. I was thinking 5, and it didn't come out.
He really did mean 5. And then, of course, my guy in the sky, the voice, who you have no choice but to listen to, the one and only Monty on that Talk Lately Tuesdays, when we can be on time, because we had it the last time when we supposed to.
Tuesdays at 7.
Monty, I can't wait to talk to you, because I have not talked to you lately.
Right.
You know what? We know how to bring the news and how it's supposed to be brung right here on the You Better Live. You already know it's your news, our views. I'm here, the Empress, ChasReal, Lady Cake Mix. I just love to talk to y'all about this stuff. I thank y'all for the love. Y'all can join me right here every Thursday, 7 to 9. Like and share the page. I got to get it up. Come on, tell a friend and tell a friend. And guess what? Even let the enemies in, because I refute anything that they trying to do against me or my show. You better live. But bye-bye, you guys. God loves you. God bless you. See you next week. And you better live.